culture. Everything is permitted.
Welcome to episode 67 of Everything is Permitted here at Wade's Comic Madness. I'm your captain and host, Julian Brown, alongside my co-host, the Man of Steel, Matt Reppert, and the Master of Puns, Brittany Tomes. How we doing?
I feel like Batman right now. This mask keeps dropping.
You guys can't see it right now, but Brittany has a mask over her eyes for what will be announced shortly here. I'll let Julian get to that.
Justice.
Justice.
More
There's
like
going to be
Justice
justice will be
ice.
announced.
I wish there was just ice in here, but they're melted now.
They are melting quickly, unfortunately. It was a bit of a mess getting this whole thing started. We said we were going to do a Slurpee taste test. We're going to get to that 1 second, but we first have to do a warm welcome back, and for the first time in person, to EIP contributor Kabria Wimbush. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me. And no as much rejoicing.
So welcome back. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
And then before we do any plugs, before we do any announcements, it's time for the Icy Slurpee taste test. And we are going to do this thing. But before we do, I have to go on Facebook Live so the people could see it. So we're going live here on Facebook. It's going to be fun. Here we go.
They feel like just like soda in a cup.
I know they're not really ices anymore. We had some technical difficulties, and 7-Eleven was shut down.
Damn you, 7-Eleven.
Damn you, 7-Eleven.
Pulling the McDonald's. We ain't got no ice cream today. Ice cream machine broke.
All right, we are live on Facebook. I'm turning this around. Brittany's got an icy in her hand and a Slurpee in her hand. Both are Coca-Cola flavored. Both are pretty much melted at this point, but we're gonna do it. Brittany, hand number left. Hand number left.
My left or your left?
Your left.
Okay.
That is your first Slurpee.
Dude, it's just watered down Coke. Like I don't.
And this is your second Slurpee. I just call them both Slurpees.
What the fuck?
Brittany is confused right now.
Uh-oh.
This one barely tastes like Coke. This one tastes super sweet, but not like Coke. So.
Oh.
Interesting turn of events.
Hold on.
Can you describe the body?
Yeah.
The Slurpee?
How
They're
is-
both fucked. Like, I need Mr. Freeze to show up and refreeze these. Hold on.
They need to be aerated more.
How is the aroma?
I was seriously waiting for her to just like actually dump it on her face
Like-
when she was drinking.
Like,
Wait,
they don't even feel like I don't, like,
What are our options again?
Give me a second.
7-Eleven and-
One is an icy,
the key was
like
the
icy
consistency.
brand, and two was a Slurpee. Now, if you want, I could.
Shh, hold up.
Shut up for a second. I'm drinking. I like how she's getting it on her mask. Oh my god.
I feel like this one tastes like, I want to claim this is 7-Eleven, but I haven't had, like, a Coca-Cola flavored iced tea since I was, like, 5, so I don't know what they taste like. Do they actually taste like Coke?
Is that your final answer?
I don't know. Hold on. This one tastes more like it was plausibly soda at some point. This one tastes like just syrup. So I want to say the syrup is the 7-Eleven. And the one that tastes more like Coke is the icy. I did it?
You did it!
Yes! Okay.
You just sprayed me with it.
Sorry.
You
Dude.
did it.
Dude. Quality is key. Icy, especially AMC Icy, is gonna actually taste like soda. There's a reason they're called Slurpees.
So I have the Slurpee in front of me, and I'm gonna take a sippy doodad here.
A sippy doodad.
Mm-hmm.
See, like, this is flat soda.
See, this tastes like Coca-Cola in this form right now.
You have more ice.
I do.
Audience, I did argue that consistency was key, but by the time they were melted, they both felt the same in my mouth, so I was like, I can't tell texture-wise. So I relied on taste. Because like Daredevil, when you remove one sense, your other senses, I can't even talk, are heightened. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk about how Slurpees and Ices are not.
I will say, though,
same.
I will say that not having the consistency probably made it a better
fair?
test. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I do think that a Slurpee has a very unique...
I think Slurpees are like fluffier is the kind of the way I think about it. Like ices are a little more watery in my opinion.
Kabria, opinions?
I just realized this was an I. I thought this was an H, and I was like,
no,
what
that's
the
an
fuck
I.
does H
Yeah.
H stands for hell no, it's not a Slurpee.
Now mix them together and drink both.
Oh, I was going to.
Oh no,
Wow.
don't do it.
You mad
Because
genius.
The best slushy of all is when icy and Slurpee comes together. Becomes an ice Slurpee.
All right, taste this monstrosity.
Oh, Burger King icy.
Is that a thing?
That's like, you know, the type you can get at, like, do they still do that anymore? They used
think
to.
they
I don't know. There's a Burger King right across the street. We could do part 2 next week.
I
Oh
think
my
they
god,
have,
we
like,
could have so
Because
many.
it's
Coke
just
and
syrupy
cherry.
enough that you know it's like they kind of low-key use the soda machine, but the ice is better, crush quality. So anyway,
God. I've never seen somebody be like
Next
a
we'll do
wine
the M&M
connoisseur
test.
with an icy.
I feel like you could profit off of this. There has to be a job for this.
I have to be AMC's sponsor for their ices. When they open back up, I'm going to be like, get me a special Tenant flavor. Tenant tropical fucking twist. I don't care.
And the
There you go,
Slurpee, the
right
Slurpee
there.
goes back into the machine instead of going into your cup, like in the previews.
Yeah. That would
or-
be kind of nasty, though, for health
yeah, that
reasons.
would be not very COVID friendly.
But we could do a video where it's like whoosh,
Yeah.
backwards in time, like Tenet.
Oh man, we're all dying for that movie. Anyway, this is our tenant, or not our tenant. This is our Slurpee taste test. It was fun.
The Britney
apparently our live video is cutting in and out, so we're gonna stop where we're ahead. But Brittany did guess right. One was a Slurpee, one was an icy. She did it. We'll see you
That's
on the full
right.
episode on Tuesday at 8 a.m. and for our patrons later today. Bye.
I think maybe the best part was her doing it with a face mask, but over her eyes
Yeah.
and not her mouth.
Like all old men in this pandemic society.
Yeah, is that how you're supposed to wear your mask? I don't know.
So let me share with you the mask wearing while I was getting these. Believe it or not, people at 7-Eleven were more respectful of actually wearing their masks correctly than at Wawa.
It's probably all the signs.
And
outside of
you
the
had,
eyes.
yeah, I know, right? Like, and there was a Wawa employee with their mask under their nose, interacting with 2 customers, like not social distancing, watching Facebook videos with their masks under their nose.
We
Come
gotta
on, Wawa.
watch out for that shit.
I'm gonna tweet. I'm gonna tweet them later, and
7-Eleven got masked 24/7.
Wawa's got to do better. I expect better from them.
I agree completely. Brittany, congratulations. That was fun. I'm glad we
you
did
get
it.
nothing,
I'm glad I went through
unfortunately.
driving like around all of Fairless Hills to get you a fucking Slurpee.
Shout out to Julian, who's amazing and would go out 3 times to make sure we're prepared for everything.
To be fair, I was not prepared today.
The audience didn't have to know
They
Julian.
know now. I blame bat nipples.
I think the power of Mr. Freeze helped me.
I do indeed. We're going to talk about that in a second.
This actually mixed together. Like when I drink it, I feel longing for my lost wife.
This week on the show, we have some other fun planned for you today. Kabria is here, obviously, joining us, and we are going to be talking about the recent slew of live-action remakes and their animated counterparts. Yeah, Matt just did air quotes, and he's got it
Live-action
right.
remakes.
Yeah, are they really?
Some of them, no.
Do we need them? We're going to talk about that. And do they do their originals justice? No. We're going to talk about that as
Yeah,
well.
well, spoiler alert, folks. No, the answer is no.
Also, we're going to be taking a look at some of the best motion capture actors out there. We did the kind of honor to Doug Jones for his great makeup and Jim Henson for, basically
Puppetry, costumes,
puppetry,
cool
costumes,
shit.
everything. And we're going to talk mocap this week. So there that is. Announcements. We didn't have any until Joel Schumacher, unfortunately, passed away this week. So we decided to honor him because the man has publicly apologized for Batman and Robin. So we decided to honor his legacy.
Did he ever apologize for the nipples, though?
He may have. To honor his legacy, our June bonus pod for our EIP VIPs, which will be dropping a little bit later on, is going to be a special edition of Raiders of the Bargain Bin, Batman and Robin.
I like how instead of watching one of his like good movies, we instead picked like the shittiest possible. Like, we honor you, Joel Schumacher, by watching the movie that everybody hates.
A hero doesn't choose the life they live.
Not the hero we need, but the one we deserve.
Oh man,
There'd be no fun in watching one of his good movies.
We deserved every single ass shot in that film.
We did.
That leather ass shot.
And comparing the
Crotch
bat
belt.
nipples to Alicia Silverstone's not so bat nipples.
That's for the best.
That is for the
I
best.
feel like, does that make the film more feminist? The fact that the men were more... I can't.
The men were more sexualized.
Slightly. Even
little
Mr.
bit.
Freeze has nipples. Check it out. Like, look closely at his armor. There
I
were
do
circles there.
love that Uma Thurman also points out that like the suits are anatomically correct. Like, you go, girl.
Yeah. She's like, oh, hello there, bats.
Anyway, that's going to be coming for our EIP VIPs in the June bonus pod. Brittany,
Yeah.
how can people get access to that amazing episode we're going to record later on?
Well, if me tasting an icy wasn't enough for you already, you want to support our show by heading to everythingispermitted.com, clicking on our little Patreon tab, and checking out our Patreon. We have $2 every month or $5 every month for tiers, and they give you access to awesome bonus content, early access to episodes, and really awesome bonus pods. Like this Batman and Robin one is definitely worth $5
It's going to be lit.
for one, like $5 a month.
Yep.
It's gonna be great.
Kabria can't wait to listen to it.
I really can't. Because I have never seen it.
What?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Kabria's like the captain of the Eep Veeps.
She is. I think you should watch the movie before you listen to the bonus pod.
Watch
though.
it
Really?
Do you
while
have
listening.
Do you have HBO Max?
My dad just got it.
Boom. It's
Boom.
on there.
Oh, yeah.
Until July
Shameless plug.
1st, apparently.
Yeah.
So watch
I don't
it
know
fast.
that that's true though.
Go home today and watch.
Right.
Right.
Dad, I need to watch Bat Nipples.
Meanwhile, I'll go home and find all my old action figures and just reenact it.
I want to find my Batmobile, but I don't know where it
I
is.
I feel like Kabria's dad's going to cancel HBO Max as soon as she watches
He's
it.
gonna be like,
"All
"Who the
right,
fuck
I'm
watched
done with this."
I
Click.
just might.
I would
Just might.
agree. If people don't want to hear about Bat Nipples and not support us financially, how else can they support the show, Matt?
By going to wherever you listen to Everything is Permitted and giving us a hopefully 5-star review, which we would very much appreciate.
We would indeed. That would be very kind of all of you.
Speaking of the kind people that support our show, special shout out time. Which maybe I'll do in a Bane voice.
Oh my God.
Special thanks to all of Gotham for Billy Peets, Heather Reppert, Rob Migliaccio, who only exists in darkness, Michael Cox, Iggy Veazey, Matt Moore, Kabria Wimbush, she's right here in the studio, Rob Carter, and of course, the one, the only supervillain, Anthony Matteries.
The fire rises.
What will break first, patrons? Your spirit? Or your wallets?
That might be your best EIP Patreon plug / thank you ever done.
I also
on
love that like none of
Everything is
that's
Permitted.
scripted. I just do this weird stuff all the time.
That's the way it should be. All right, let's get into some rants and raves, and we do have a guest with us, so we always open up the floor to our guests if they have a rant or rave.
I do.
Hit it.
It's, oh goodness, it's a rave. I had to think about that one. I finished She-Ra last night. I know we talk about it all the time, but I finished the last season last
One
night.
of us.
And it was so good. There was lots of crying, but it was good crying. And it's such a good show. There's so much love that goes into it. It's just watch it. Make your kids watch it. Make your grandkids watch it. Make everybody watch it. Just watch it.
It's one of those shows that if everybody on Earth watched it, I think we'd have a better world.
Honestly, like it could end wars, end world hunger, end everything, really.
Everything.
Everything.
I still need to watch it.
It just needs to end 2020.
Watch it with your
and then we'll be
kids.
good.
I know
will.
Cecily would be all over that.
No, I will.
Did you finish Avatar: The Last Airbender, Julian? We were discussing that upstairs earlier.
He was too busy watching Batman and Robin.
I get that part.
So,
His face tells me no.
Uh-oh.
all right. I don't know if I've talked about this publicly on the show yet.
Oh, no.
If you're about to say you don't like it, I
I'm
think
whole-
you're going to get jumped.
Are you going to break my
Jesus
heart, Julian?
Everybody's going to unsubscribe. Patrons will flee.
I'm not going to say I don't like it.
Okay.
He's only seen season 1, so this is
I've
why.
seen season 1 and like 5 episodes of season 2. It's just,
It's not his thing.
it's not my thing.
Okay.
I don't think it's bad. It's just not my thing. I'm a stickler and a kind of crotchety old man when it comes to the animation that I digest.
He doesn't like anime eyeballs and expressions.
I don't.
I have a friend.
So when
like
they go,
that.
what? He doesn't
It
like it.
kills me. So no, I have not finished Avatar. I will because Cecily is kind of liking it. So I'll get around to it, but like I don't feel the need to be like, oh my God, I need to watch the next episode and the next episode and the next episode. I was watching like 5 a day and that was a lot for me.
My household, we rewatch every year, and we watch it all in a row. So, can't relate. But I respect it. Not
Yeah.
all animation is for everybody.
Listen, like I don't hate it. I think it's fun, and I think the characters are great, and I think that the story itself is very intriguing. Anime has never been my thing, so I know.
There goes my heart broken
there's so
in
many
two.
good stories in anime.
Would you call it anime though? I don't know. I don't think
It's
I would.
Western
It's
animation
what-
pretending to
would
be
be
anime.
It has anime influence.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, it
but-
does.
I think
But
after
it's
this
definitely
episode, I'm
Western.
going to secretly get fired from my own show, and Kabria is going to take over.
Kabria's like, hi, I'm your
I'm the new
host,
host.
and the creator of Everything is Permitted.
We have a new segment. It's called Anime, and we just talk about anime.
Talk about erasing history in the world. Every single episode I'm on, which is every single episode, would just be deleted.
Like, I'd suggest Full Metal Alchemist to you, but like that, then you really want to enjoy it because there's some scenes that just like,
What about Cowboy Bebop?
oh, I love
Oh,
Cowboy.
yeah.
That one might be
Yeah,
good
that
because
might
Cowboy
don't-
Bebop
for you.
is one of the few
Yeah.
shows that I recommend
They
to
don't
people
do
that
weird
don't do anime.
Yeah.
The anime that I will always praise and love is the one that I think is loved by everybody and is stereotypical.
Naruto.
No.
Dragon Ball Z.
No. I love Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, well,
Okay.
yeah, but that's because they don't do any of those like stereotypical
Yeah.
like woo
I,
faces.
I like Ghost in the Shell, but I'm not going to lie and say that the movie are you talking about the movie or the show? I don't know which.
To be fair, the animated
The eyes I'm
films
giving
or
you
the
right
show.
now.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. Like I'm assuming it's the movie.
The original film.
Okay, because
Animated film.
I love the film, but it is a little up its own ass at times with its premise and all that.
I like it. It's my jam.
Remember when Scarlett Johansson played
Got-
the lead
Wait.
role
Oh
in the
my
film?
god.
Who?
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 I don't know. Every time I see an Asian woman walking down the street, I'm like, oh, it's Scarlett.
Who?
Just kidding.
Anyway, so She-Ra. Yeah.
Oh my god.
She rocks your world.
Wow.
Rants or raves? Anybody else?
I have a rave.
Hit it.
I just love when little kids come into the comic book store to like get something, especially very specific, and we actually have it, and I like know kind of what they're looking for. There was a little girl that came in yesterday. I think maybe she was like 4. She was really young, but she was like, I want Harley Quinn. And I was like, oh boy, do we have Harley Quinn, because everybody loves her. So we were going around. She wanted like a specific action figure, and we have others that are like, from the movies, and she's a little more like dressed certain ways that you're like, I don't know if this is like appropriate for a 4-year-old. But to be fair, I played with a lot of toys when I was a kid. So yeah, she wanted more of an action figure one. We have so many like statues and busts and different things. So I ended up finding we have a stuffed like animated series version of Harley, and I'm like, oh, it's like good for her age because at least she can sleep with it, she can play with it, won't lose any like parts and stuff. So I like helped her whole family like look all around the DC area. I was like going through everything. I was pulling like loose figures. I was like, maybe she'll want this. This has a mallet. This one has blood on it. I'm not sure. It's up to you if you want your kid to have like a Harley covered in blood and like crazy.
I would.
So eventually,
I'd get that for Cecily.
right? They settled on the animated series stuffed one because I just left her. They didn't grab her right away, and the girl liked her, but she's like, but I want like a figure. So I put it up on the shelf, and I was like, okay, well, she's just gonna watch you shop while you finish. But I showed you everything we have, and I'm just gonna head back to the front, like to the register. Come see me when you're done. And of course, they come back up. They had some other toys they found, but then they were like, and we picked this Harley, and I was like, yeah, you did. So anyway,
That's cute.
Harley.
yeah.
That's a good story.
I mean, I love when they come in. They're like, I want Miles Morales, and I'm just like,
yeah.
I start
Yeah.
crying, and I'm just like, Spider-Verse, thank you.
Oh, dude. Every time I
get
hear
chills.
his name now, I'm just like, I'm so ready for the PS5. Like, so
And
ready.
he takes that leap of faith, though.
Oh,
And the screen flips. Oh, I could talk about the cinematography in that movie. It's insane.
oh, yes.
Anyway,
Matt.
So it's funny because a lot of people gave Xbox shit for having certain games available on their Gold Pass and everything. And I know their ones for July are kind of garbage, but whatever. But I picked up a game called Coffee Talk, and it's a weird, quirky game where literally you just make coffees for various mythological creatures in like a modern day Seattle. Think Shadowrun, like orcs, elves, succubus.
that's like my
Walk it-
dream job.
Yeah, and they come and like it's all about these little stories that they tell and like these characters and like you have to make their drink and do it correctly and stuff. And like at first it's easy, be like I just want a coffee, and you just like and you pick the ingredients like coffee, 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 and that's what you give them. And it's a weird, quirky game. But I found it strangely compelling. I'm really enjoying. I don't know. I've been on this weird kick recently where I'm all into indie crap, like, and I can't explain why. Like Coffee Talk. There's a movie I saw a trailer for that comes out in like August, I think it is. It's a Russian movie called Coma. It came out last year. It's about like this world that whenever you're in a coma, all these people are in this shared universe together, and it's all about like them trying to get out of it.
I think I need another 67 episodes before we talk about any more Russian cinema.
I saw Julian's eyes.
I know, like, but as I said, like a T-34 was a great movie. Like I watched it with a couple people I work with, and we all loved it. Like it was a fantastic movie. And Coma looks like the premise alone. I'm really interested in it. So
and Guardians put us all in a coma.
Yeah, I know.
Ding ding.
Mother of God.
Oh man, but
No, it's Motherland. Mother of Russia.
For Mother Russia.
Mother Russia.
Yep.
Respect. Put some respect on her name.
You gave me flashbacks to back when I worked at Starbucks. So, but then it got better.
So Starbucks. I just said Starbucks and I literally thought of Battlestar.
Carrot Race.
I was like,
Yeah.
Starbucks for mythological creatures. I like it. I can dig it.
Yeah,
I like indie games. I'm so excited. This week I'm going to have time to play video games, and I'm going to play that
Little
Nightmares game you got me.
You're gonna like it. It's a weird game, but it's creepy as hell. I think you're gonna really
I'm
dig it.
probably going to live stream it for our page.
Done. Beautiful.
Go nuts.
Love it.
I hope it scares me.
I don't know.
know if games
It'll
scare
unsettle. It'll unsettle you. It's not like there's one or two like kind of whoa God when certain things happen, but it's a more unsettling game than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a rant rave combo. I'll start with the bad, then go into the good. The rant is about Call of Duty Warzone. Season 4 dropped a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm going to do a quick humble brag. I have 23 wins. Some of those are solo wins. Some of those are quad wins. Some of them are duos wins. I have wins in every Warzone game mode. Season 4 has not been kind. I don't know what they changed. Now, I play with Eric from Geeks with Kids and a couple of our other friends who aren't associated with the podcast. But we've picked up maybe 2 or 3 wins in Season 4 together. And there was a day in Season 3 that I got 3 wins in a day. I have not picked up 1 solo win this season so far. And it's been out for a couple of weeks now. And I play a lot. I've gotten second place like 6 or 7 times. Now, there's a reason I'm mentioning this. To all you Warzone players out there, if you're listening, quit camping loadouts. Quit camping loadouts and quit camping buy stations. Camp all you want. Just don't camp to like...
don't camp the useful stuff.
Don't camp the useful stuff because I'd like to win.
Oh, okay.
Julian suggests you actually go to the forest, out somewhere far.
The forest
camp.
is actually a good place to camp. I camp there a lot.
Camp there, snipe there.
Listen, that is
I
my
got
play
sniped
style.
yesterday.
Did you?
That's what I call it when I trip over things at Wade's.
You did, that's
because
right.
you fall so suddenly in the store that like normally I don't actually hit the ground. Like I just trip and I'm just like, oh, I got sniped. Like that's what we say whenever I get like.
And now you have
trip
a big
over
bruise
stool.
on your leg.
Yeah, I hit a lot of boxes on the way down, but they all stayed up, which is a testament to my packing skills. Mm-hmm. But also, somebody left a box behind me that shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. Also, keep banning those cheaters there, Infinity Ward, because like people not having any recoil on their guns is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, and take away their pumpkins too.
Yep.
I love whenever I do a PvP or something and I piss somebody off on the other team.
Yeah, I mean,
I have so much because when they message me out of the blue, that's when I know.
yeah,
That's
it's
when
the
I know
best.
I got you.
yeah, no, I've gotten some hate mail, like when I throw a C4 at a moving car and they're completely oblivious and they just go boom. It's the best feeling in the world.
Do you know why I
I was
mentioned
called a
pumpkins?
virgin bot the other day.
Why?
Because they're cheater pumpkin eaters.
Oh my god.
I just thought it was funny that I said take away their pumpkins, and Julian was like, yeah. And I'm like,
I kind of just assumed there were pumpkins in the game, and I.
There's
was like,
no
oh.
pumpkins in the game. And Brittany's just ridiculous.
Wow.
Then my quick little rave is this past week we celebrated Matt's birthday at my house. And
yeah, we did.
It was
we
fun.
rejoiced and
Had a lot
ate
of fun.
yummy food and grilled and got to see Matt got a cool birthday present in our backyard.
Yeah, it was. There were 2 bald eagles chilling in Julian's like in his backyard. Essentially, there was one up on this big like power antenna,
Electrical tower, yeah.
electrical tower up there, and I was pretty certain it was a female because she kind of made the squawking noise, which I've heard from. There's a video where this fox
I'm
kind
so
of.
tempted to do it, but Julian knows I'm holding myself back.
The mute button is still available.
But yeah, it was really cool to see
I didn't
because
do it.
I can't recall the last time I saw a bald eagle, like a
pretty
live
cool.
bald eagle,
Yeah.
like up close, quote unquote. So
And it was cool watching the crows like kind of like take pot shots at it because the eagle was kind of occupying their nest a little bit.
Yeah, it's like the eagle. Like their nest was obviously somewhere nearby, and the crows were kind of like.
Oh my
just
god! It was
dive-bombing
camping.
them.
It was camping
was
in the
totally
crow's nest.
Oh my god!
Full circle.
Oh.
Yes, that's awesome.
I had fun climbing.
Vindication.
I had fun climbing Cecily's jungle gym in the back.
That was fun watching you do it and be a 5-year-old.
I
It
just
was
love
wonderful.
climbing everything.
But it was just fun to celebrate your birthday.
No,
and
I had a
have-
great time.
and have people. I hope you had a fun birthday.
I did. Thank you.
That's about it. Does anybody have anything else before we move on?
I want the audience to know that we got him a Sub-Zero mask like he asked for.
We did.
Yes,
we
yes.
did. We made it
I-
happen in like record time.
I will have to. Like whenever we actually are able to go to a movie theater again, I'll have to take a picture with it.
Indeed. Can't wait. And get some dry ice for that shit.
Yeah.
That might be a little more problematic, but
We'll
make it
get
work.
I don't
him a
think you should
dry
inhale
icy.
that.
because it's like what pure nitrogen.
He'll have a mask and a mask. It'll be okay.
He walks up to the ticket booth and is just talking. It's like spraying out and just.
All right. Is that it? Are we good?
I'm good.
Let's hit it. It is time for
The permitted minute.
I don't know how to top that. George Clooney Batman voice, the permitted minute. Because he does nothing.
friend, brother,
Comrade.
partner.
Yeah. Let me get my bat card.
That's right. It is the permitted minute, and we are going to go here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mr. Gata, start the clock.
For the second time, Chris Nolan's highly anticipated film Tenet has been delayed once again, now hitting theaters on August 12th. Spoilers be damned! People are playing The Last of Us Part 2. Naughty Dog's highly anticipated sequel has sold over 4 million copies.
Netflix has announced a Cyberpunk 2077 anime series set to hit the streaming service in 2022, titled Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Splash Mountain will finally be getting a much-needed makeover as a new adventure with Princess Tiana will take its place.
After multiple allegations of impropriety, whatever, I can't say the word, the director of Assassin's Creed Valhalla has stepped down from his position.
Time for one more dance with the devil. Lucifer has been renewed for a 6th season over at Netflix.
Multiple sources have reported that Michael Keaton is in advanced talks to reprise his role as Bruce Wayne / Batman in the upcoming Ezra Miller Flash film, which will adapt the Flashpoint comic arc.
Boom, with, I think, 15 seconds to go.
Will
10
DC
seconds?
finally
that
do
fast?
something, right?
It was maybe
We're as
like,
fast
it was
as
maybe
Flash
10
using
seconds
the
ago,
Speed
but still,
Force.
we did really well. That
Can
was
can
good.
we just like say like how pumped I am for Michael Keaton to possibly be Bruce Wayne Batman again?
I was going to do a quick little odds and ends here to talk about that because I think as much as we're in this kind of timeline where things keep getting rebooted and sequels 20 years after they happen, Michael Keaton coming back to the role seems like such a natural thing to happen for whatever reason. Like, I'm stoked.
I'm curious if it's like because it would be cool as hell if it's just a continuation of the of the Tim Burton Batman movies. Like, yeah, this is the Michael Keaton. It's a different universe. Blah. Like, I'd be totally on board with that.
Brittany is not on board.
No, I am. I love Michael Keaton. And I mean, even the whole time I was watching Birdman, I was just like, oh, this is Batman. I wish he was Batman again. Great movie. But yeah, I'm super excited. I'm hoping he's going to be some sort of like old man Bruce. I was hoping they were going to bring him in for when like if they were ever going to do Batman Beyond, because it was either going to be
Yes.
him or like Kevin Conroy would be cool too, like for the voice. But they did that in the crossover for DC.
They did. I almost wish that they wasted Kevin Conroy in the version of Bruce that they did for Crisis on Infinite Earths. Kind of wish Michael Keaton was there. That would have been.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can see him with that touch of gray.
yeah.
Alfred, I need my touch of gray.
Michael Keaton looks too good though to be old man Bruce. We have.
Well,
to
that's
be
the thing,
totally
right? The
honest
dude
here.
Not
hasn't
like
aged.
super old.
He's still
No.
drinking the blood of bats.
Yeah, I mean he.
That's
like,
Ozzy
Michael
Osbourne.
Keaton.
Yeah.
Look, like I don't know how old Michael Keaton is, but he looks very good for his age. So
Spry. What do you think?
Jesus.
I'm not letting you off the hook.
I think it's good.
You think it's good?
Is he going to be wearing an all leather suit with hopefully not anatomically accurate parts?
Michael,
hope-
we have these nipples for you.
I hope that the suit
My bad
is
pasties.
still like the not able to move his neck rubber suit if he's still
Yeah.
if he wears it.
What if it's the exact same suit as the original
I would
movie?
die.
Like
I
he's
would
just
die.
like, I kept this in my closet this whole time.
Batman was the first movie I ever saw in theaters. So that is a big deal for me.
There would be a nerdgasm that would envelop the earth if he was in the original suit.
I'm
from
like,
the original
Imagine
movie.
the cheers
happening.
that happened during Endgame, but all for Michael Keaton returning as Batman.
I think while we're talking about Batman, and we're going to be talking about Batman later, we're just going to have a quick word from Batman himself.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. And remember, you're listening to Everything is Permitted.
I still love that we have that.
The man, the myth, the legend.
And the laugh like makes it.
Right? It's just
Kevin
so...
Conroy, man.
I still picture the video too. He was in like literally like his living room or something, and like there was a Christmas tree in the background.
It literally looked like Wayne Manor.
Yeah, I was
It
just like-
literally looked like Wayne Manor.
I thought something like that. I'm like, it looks like he lives in some giant ass mansion. I'm like, does he? Holy crap!
I mean, he's probably getting good royalties from being the voice of Batman and like everything.
Or he
right?
was just like somewhere about to record something for like voice acting, and
Can
it was
we
just like, here's
could
the
we
waiting
let the
room.
dream be alive that he lives at Wayne Manor?
Oh, probably.
I'm ready to headcanon that.
Yeah, right.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, guys, let's get into the show. We are going to be talking about some live action remakes and their animated counterparts. So this episode is kind of your baby, Kabria. You came up with both these ideas. So take it away.
Oh boy. Okay. So Disney does a lot of remakes, and they've been doing them more recently, kind of taking their old stuff and quote unquote remaking them.
Stealing it from public domain.
Yeah, pretty much. But Disney isn't like the first studio to remake movies. They didn't invent remaking. But kind of like, are they necessary? And I would say yes. Yes, they are.
Interesting
Yeah.
take.
Yeah. Well, because here, I think about it this way. You know, there aren't like a whole lot of stories out and about. Like, you know, when you really think about it, each story kind of takes a little bit from something else, whether it's completely remaking it or just taking inspiration from it. So I think if you completely take away remakes, we're not going to really have much left. Like, The Lion King is a remake of Hamlet.
Yeah.
Right.
And Kimba the White Lion, which they
Yes.
stole from a Japanese company.
Yes, they did.
Disney. You know how I feel about Disney.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a Disney. We're gonna have a Disney episode.
Brittany
where
yelling at the sky.
But you're
at
right.
Disney.
There are things even in literature that are canon texts and then resonance texts. And like every time you have a major piece of literature that's considered like an original work, it then spawns like a bunch of reproductions of it throughout time. So like you can go back as far as the Epic of Gilgamesh, and that ended up, you know, tying into like Arthurian legends. And then like that's why we also have Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and Star Wars that are all about a chosen singular hero who goes on an epic quest and does this and that. Like you can tie them all back to a specific story.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned that Lion King is basically Hamlet, right? Like a lot of the pop culture shit that we take in as a society is so based off of Shakespeare.
Oh my God, don't get
Yeah.
me started.
Yeah, but it's true, right?
There's a lot.
I have a King Lear poster in my bedroom.
There you go. So
I was Hamlet in school.
here's what I'll say about remakes. I will agree in principle that they are necessary. Especially if we're going to talk about like live action remakes of animated features specifically, I'm all about them doing them if they do them right. But Disney and some other companies have not shown that they can do that, which is, yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Are you calling out Alvin and the Chipmunks? Like
Wow.
that isn't a national treasure.
God, oh dude,
That was too good.
Oh,
who's it? Jason
Derulo?
no.
No.
That's Cats. That's a live action remake that shouldn't have happened.
I'm picturing Alvin the Chipmunk. Jason
Jason Derulo.
No, the actor who's in the live action remake.
I know who you're talking about. It's
He's a comedian.
Jason Lee. Or
Jason
something.
Lee.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
See, what you have to do the chipmunk voice right is the vibrato. They usually just speed up normal voices to do it, but if you're able to with your normal voice, I trained myself at the age of 5 to do it. I'll
Didn't
tell the audience another time
Didn't Jesse McCartney play Theodore? I think
Yeah.
he did. Yeah.
or something. Justin Timberlake,
man.
Justin McCartney, somebody.
One of them.
Sorry, that's just an example.
But as for like not Disney remakes, like I think, you know, there are studios that have successfully made, you know, a remake of something. Like the first one that came to mind for me was The Wiz, which is a remake of the Wizard of Oz.
The better version.
In my opinion, yes. But yeah, they essentially took the Wizard of Oz and replaced the white characters with black characters, and like didn't do it shot for shot either. Like things are changed and stylized differently about the story to make it more important. Like, listen, I watched The Wiz 24/7 when I was younger. And I used to get so confused as to why they had taxi cabs on the yellow brick road that kind of represented the yellow brick road. And I was so confused as to why the taxi cabs would always drive away when the characters wanted to get in the cab. These are black characters. And it's supposed to be like in this New York-esque setting. And I didn't learn that until later on. And I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. But like, it's important to kind of like at the time that it was made, you know, like this was a real issue for Black people, and having a movie that kind of portrayed it and was like, yeah, like it's out there.
Even
you know,
in your fantasy world, it's a reality.
Yeah, it was important. Yeah. Like even they changed the songs too. Michael Jackson plays the Scarecrow.
Yeah,
and he has this one song called "You Can't Win." And I'm not going to sing, but he like the lyrics go, "You can't win, you can't break even, and you can't get out of the game." Like wow. Like that hit me hard watching the movie later when I could understand things better. That hit me a lot harder. And I think it was a success of a remake because it was from a different perspective and it was honest. So
I'm going to say that remakes are only fine if they're doing it in telling something new in the story. Like The Wiz is fine because you're taking The Wizard of Oz and doing something new with it. They didn't just do like an almost shot for shot remake just with black characters. They did something new, original, and all that. The Lion King?
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast? Like, tell me what is different about those movies other than maybe
the
an
Beast
extra
got his own song.
Oh, right. Sorry. Silly me.
That's why it goes hard.
Didn't Belle? No, I just
you find out how her mom dies, and that's more tragic.
Yeah, Aladdin has the Jasmine song in it.
Yes.
And I mean, but that's not enough to me. I refuse to support any of the live action Disney movies because they're mining nostalgia from 90s kids, people of our age. That's exactly what they're doing is, hey, you remember how great The Lion King was? Don't you want to see it live action, quote unquote? And maybe you'll get that feeling back that you saw it when you were a kid, like of how it blew you away. But it doesn't. They make tons of money though. And I still cannot understand how that happens.
Here's the thing. I was really excited when they first announced Dumbo. I was like, oh, they're doing a live action Dumbo.
I totally forgot about that movie.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally forgot about it.
But as it got closer and closer and you started hearing things about it and how it's just like not faithful to the original, I'm like, do I really want to ruin that memory of my childhood and see that? Like, no. So I've yet to see Dumbo. Aladdin.
I gasped.
I have memories of a lot of these. Same thing about Aladdin. I saw that trailer. I saw that preview. Can we talk about Wimpy Jafar?
Yes, please.
Aladdin, you must go get me the lamp.
I'm like, this is your Jafar? I get that, like, you know, currently, like, a lot of bad guys are being portrayed as being kind of like Weasley instead of like powerful, because Jafar like gave off like
he had the
he
voice,
was Weasley
man.
and the
he
voice,
was the head
but he had
honcho.
the voice.
So he wasn't Janir, his original characterization. He was very Jafar from it.
Oh my god!
Aladdin 2, Jafar from Home.
Wow!
God, stop!
Shame.
Janir, Jafar, wherever you are.
Are they going to remake Titanic? But that's not an animated.
As far as James Cameron's concerned, he's going to do whatever he wants for the rest of his life.
I mean, I don't think they need to. I mean, the boat breaks either way.
Yeah, it's been done.
Let's keep talking about these though, because Matt, you already mentioned Lion King. We have Mulan coming up next. Kabria, I've seen in the chat that you have a lot of feelings about the Lion King. I have a lot of feelings about the Lion King.
Yeah, I'll start off with the fact that I went and saw it in theaters with my grandmother. She was visiting and we were trying to find something to do. Let's go to the movies and let's watch The Lion King. Cool. She fell asleep.
I love that like delivery you just gave.
So I'm sitting here watching The Lion King by myself. And don't get me wrong, the movie is beautiful. Like, it looks like a nature documentary. But that is the issue, because animals in nature documentaries cannot emote. They can't do it. So, I mean, I'm watching and, you know, like the climax of emotion in The Lion King is when Mufasa dies. And Simba's essentially like this little kid just having his first experience with death. And he's, you know, oh my God, Dad, wake up, blah, 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 blah. And you can hear the voice actor, and my eyes are getting all teary because, you know, that's the moment. If you don't cry at this moment,
in the animated film, Or the new one.
In the new one.
Yeah.
But also in the animated film. Like, if you don't cry at that moment, you're not going to cry in the entire movie. So I'm, like, getting into it. And the camera is, like, in a wide shot. And they zoom in to see Simba's face. And it all just, like, went away. Like, it took away my connection to the character entirely. And I was like, ugh.
And then it proceeded for the next 90 minutes of the film.
Exactly. So, like, as long as you could just hear the characters, I was like, yeah, I'm vibing with this. But then as soon as you see it, I was like, it took away the connection instantly.
Well, that's the problem with like live action, as Kabria said, is that animals don't emote. A cartoon can. Like, you can do exaggerated emotions with a cartoon, you know, with like, if I'm looking at a live action looking lion cub, and I know it's CG, I'll call it live action just for the sake of differentiating the two. If I'm looking at a live action lion cub tearing up, like, I know lions don't do this. I know that they don't act like this and call it uncanny valley stuff or whatever. But I'm just like, this isn't happening. I know this isn't happening. While the animated, I was more connected. And I think that the emotion that a lot of people felt came from tapping into the original emotions of the animated movie, because that's what's kind of getting you.
And listen, for that time, those voice actors are amazing. I mean, like, listen, JTT killed it as Simba. Like, so Lion King is my favorite Disney film of all time. I love it. It's my baby. So Karen and I was like, if we're going to see one of these animated films, let's go, like you said, to the theater. Let's go see Lion King. Went and saw it, and I was just like, there was nothing bad about it, right? Like, it wasn't bad. It just was empty, right? Like, I could say like a couple of things that are good about it. Like, one, John Oliver as Zazu was so good, and I love that. And he was fun, but like, you know, you talk about some of the other actors in this, right? Like,
And they fall flat.
Beyonce.
That's what everybody has said.
Listen, I have words. Okay. Beyonce, I love her. She can sing her heart out. Voice acting though? Beyonce. That she needs.
You mean you didn't enjoy her as Foxy Cleopatra in Austin Powers? What, like 3?
She was
her
also,
acting wasn't like peak there.
She was also in from a few years ago, Epic. She played like this queen little elf person. And you can tell that her voice acting has improved from Epic to The Lion King, but it still isn't at like the professional, like, I do this for my career voice acting level. And I think it was kind of a little bit of star power with Beyonce.
well, that's the thing, right? Like, they wanted to get some big names. Like, a lot of these, like, we barely talk about the Jungle Book on the show, which is actually one of the few live action remakes that are praised. You know, Favreau's amazing at everything he does, including Ultimate Fighting Cage Champion. Brittany knows what I'm talking about.
Julian's just full of Friends references today.
Today.
Yeah, you need to stop it.
Sorry.
Friends.
But they got these big names, and, you know, obviously James Earl Jones came back and didn't miss a step.
He came back
right?
just like Mufasa in the flat.
And you know who was also good but needed to be able to show, like, you know, be like the villain and couldn't? Chiwetel Ejiofor.
I disagree.
You didn't like him?
No, I loved him.
No.
Yeah.
I loved him. I absolutely loved him.
Yes.
But again, like, he couldn't emote the way that he's such a good actor, right?
Yes.
And like, it's still as good as he is, and he's a good singer too.
Yeah.
It's still like everything just about it fell flat. Like, the final battle between him and Simba is just like,
Yeah, it wasn't as epic as it should be.
I'll be honest, like, it's hard to top Jeremy Irons because he had that.
He blew his voice out there.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I know, but just thinking about him, like, absolutely not, far too dangerous.
Yeah.
Only
Oh,
the
dude.
bravest lions go there.
hold on a second, come back here. Dude, you just gave me goosebumps, man. That was really good.
Yeah, but Jeremy Irons had that almost posh, like, villain act, and I haven't seen the new Lion King,
They
so I
always
don't
make
know.
the villains British in Disney films.
I know, because British villainy is
British
so
bad,
It's
duh.
so
They're like,
good.
who can we blame for this?
The British.
Colonists.
I think you would listen. Again, it's not a bad film. I think you should maybe watch it. I think you would like Chiwetel Ejiofor as Scar. I think he did a fantastic job and did the role proud as much as he possibly could.
He was my favorite character in the live action remake.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think the one praise I can give to the live action remake that they changed is when Mufasa's hanging on the like rock and Scar is about to let him go. In the animated version, Mufasa goes, "Scar, help me," in like a pleading kind of way, like, please help me. In the live action remake, he goes, "Scar, help me," as in like he's commanding Scar to help him. And I thought that was such a great character choice because it kind of makes sense that Scar would then just let him, long live the king, like fuck you for telling me what
because
to do.
he's already pissed off about not being king, right?
Yeah.
Like he's like, I want your throne and you're commanding me to help him. Fuck off,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. That was the one moment in the movie theater where I was like, yeah.
Regicide's gonna happen no matter how you plead.
Yep.
So I just wanted to say, like, I haven't seen it because the thing is, when I learned it was gonna be live action and it was only gonna be CG, that rubbed me the wrong way because I knew there wasn't like. If they wanted to do live action, I think they should have done like a live action Broadway production of it, where they had the people in the costumes. That looks really amazing, and then you can have like the full motion and performances of the actors captured. Or they just shouldn't have called it live action. They should have just been like, this is like the Lion King remake.
Yeah.
Just announced it that way, and then it been CG. I just want to give a shout out to anybody who worked on the CG and VFX for that movie because that's what makes it beautiful. It's really awesome.
Absolutely.
So props to them. But I did hear that like a lot of the voice acting, you know, all those emotions they're bringing to it just didn't connect with, you know, realistic looking animals.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
And you brought up a great point, though, right? Because you could have just called it the remake and still had it look as beautiful as it did, but you could have CG'd their faces to emote and, you know, made it a little bit more animated in that way. Like, you could have done it, but instead they really went for that, like...
But then you can't call it a
Hyper-realistic.
live
Well, yeah, I
action
know. And then, yeah.
remakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
I
would
agree.
watch like a Broadway version. Like I have seen the Broadway version of Lion King. Phenomenal.
Or they could have done like Pixar's The Lion King, where they're still kind of cartoony CG,
Yeah.
you know?
You know, the Broadway version of Aladdin has the actual voice of Jafar in it.
Yes.
He actually plays Jafar.
No
Yes.
way.
Because my brother and his wife saw it a couple years ago, and they said the voice was like really familiar. And then we looked it up, and like, nope, that's the voice of Jafar. He actually is in the
That's awesome.
the Broadway show.
I love it.
So we've already mentioned Dumbo, Aladdin. I am going to eventually sit down and try and get through Aladdin. They return to these big live action spectacles, both obviously not very well received. What other live action remakes have missed the mark? Kabria, I know you mentioned Death Note. We also just mentioned ScarJo in Ghost in the Shell. Yeah.
I feel like they just wanted a big name like Hollywood actor for the action, but they just didn't think of the ramifications on that one.
Oh yeah, 100%.
We can't have some unknown Asian actress be in our Ghost in the Shell remake.
I will say there's a lot of anime ones that they do live action of that sometimes they start out really well. Like the Full Metal Alchemist one was like pretty spot on for a while. But then the last 30 minutes of that film like just completely tank everything. And you're just like, well, how did you start out with this whole, like, this was amazing, beautiful, like as good as you could probably do live action with the budget you have. And then the last 30 minutes just kind of like scrap everything that they were following.
I am looking forward to 2 live action remakes. The Cowboy Bebop. I hope to God
Please.
they do not mess that up because Cowboy Bebop is my all-time favorite anime, and I put it probably in my top 10 best shows ever made, period. That, and I'm very cautious about it, but I know the original people that made the show, but the Avatar: The Last Airbender live action show.
Yeah.
Man.
Those
Like-
are both, I hope, go really well.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I'm hoping, because if either one of those sucks, then I mean the good thing is if they suck, then it'll put more attention back onto the animation, which this is way better. Watch this instead.
Yeah.
But I want them to do good because I mean I do want to see some of this live action stuff. I want it to do good.
Well, speaking of a missed the mark live action remake, and if you could even call it that, I know there's a ton of backlash about the Avatar movie that they made. You're talking about the live action show coming. I feel like the creators of that have to have in the back of their mind, if we get Shyamalan on this, we're never going to be able to do anything like this ever again. So I feel like they have to be able to make it a success.
I believe the creators of the show are working on the project.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
they're
I
not
think they
necessarily
are.
the only
Is
people
Dave
on it,
Filoni
but-
involved?
What?
Dave Filoni?
I don't think so.
We'd have to look that up.
I don't know.
I don't
I mean,
know.
Dave
I
Filoni
know
is
like,
like the bad genius, like the writing and directing in Avatar.
I thought the creators of the animated show were
It
basically
was like
making
Brian
the live action.
Konietzko and
Yeah, something like
Dante
that.
DiMartino.
Yeah, so,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know everybody work on the show. I just know that they're actually involved, which was the only reason I even paid attention to it. So I was just like, oh, maybe. As long as, please just pronounce the names right.
Oh my
Do the
God.
specific
Bare
cultures.
minimum.
White people should not be in this at all. White people do not exist in the Avatar universe. Like, nothing about, like, ugh, I just can't. If anything's going to be, like, westernized, then it has to be, like, the way Legend of Korra did it. That being said, please pronounce their names right. Don't Shyamalan it, and please just let them do bending the way it is in the show.
If I see a rock
Floating
moving across the screen,
after 10 people stomp and do too many movements.
and it's just moving at like 2 miles.
The whole point of
an hour.
earthbending is short, like, oh my god, it's supposed to, I can't.
Powerful and purposeful.
They match specific martial arts styles. That's all I'm going to say.
They do.
I love. I actually watched the scene from Korra when what is it?
Which season?
It was when the Beifong family attacks. What's her face?
Kariva.
Yeah,
Kuvira?
Yup,
Kuvira.
that-
Yeah.
And when like
The metal
the
bending?
one daughter, she like she pulls out the plane, like bends it onto her back, like armor. I'm like, this is awesome. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to see this live action just
it
to see it.
Made sense because, like, by then, people, since Toph,
They
created
evolved.
metal bending,
They've
they
evolved
learned
their
it.
bending abilities. Yeah.
And it would make sense that that family is the best metal benders there are because they learned directly from Toph.
Yeah. Julian's just kind of nodding politely, like,
They Toph as heck.
Oh my
Oh
god!
my god.
You're welcome. Now you can segue.
Kabria,
Yes.
you already mentioned some one or two success stories. Are there any other live action remakes that you wanted to touch on real quick that were success stories?
Hold on. Let me take a look at my
She's
notes.
going to the notes.
Are there
Example.
very many?
Lord of the Rings. It was an animated. They
I know
made an
they-
animated
yes.
film.
Yeah,
Yes.
The Hobbit.
It's the live action version of the story. That was
And I will.
Lord of the Rings, not The Hobbit. They're two different things.
I'm
I will
very
admit
well
to this.
aware.
Heather and I did like Death Note, the Netflix movie. We did enjoy it. I know the show is far superior, and I know. But the thing is, you took a multi-season show and tried to condense it into a
Yeah.
movie, and you were gonna lose a lot of stuff because
That's always how they do anime movies. I
yeah,
don't know why.
well, yeah, but as somebody pointed out, and I own the animated show, and I still haven't watched it. But like Light was
Matthew.
always. I know. I'm sorry. But like Light was always like an asshole. It's just getting the Death
100%.
Note made it come out. Like he was just like, I'm a nice guy type person, but he's not. He's an
Yeah.
asshole.
Instead of being light, he was darkness. I love how we brought Kabria on and like have only personally attacked her for anime. She's like, why did I agree to this?
I also did love Willem Dafoe in Death Note. I thought I enjoyed him.
I did like he voiced Ryuk, right?
Yes.
Yes, I did like that.
Dem Shimigami.
Disclaimer: I watched the trailer, not the show, not the movie. Just because I was like, I'm not watching this shit.
Like any true anime fan.
But while I was watching the trailer, and I looked it up on Wikipedia, and I said, Light Turner? Light Turner? And I swear, if it was not midnight, I would have screamed, Light Turner? Are you kidding me?
Timmy Turner's older brother.
Exactly. I was like, who the fuck is Light Turner? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on Death Note.
There's probably
I'm
some
sorry,
good
we
live-
diverted from any success story.
So I think
know.
I think what we're trying to get at here is that live action remakes, for the most part, from animated features or shows, have not done very well.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah,
There's a
'cause
few.
You lose a little bit of that like fantastical element that you can portray with cartoons and with animation. You can do things that are outrageous and they make sense in the universe. You can't do that with regular people. I watched Aladdin last week to kind of like prepare, and despite the scrawny Jafar, I actually kind of like that he wasn't super old. I thought that it wasn't as creepy when he was like, Jasmine, marry me.
I don't know. It's like realistic when some creepy old dude purrs
true.
on some young
It's
Dude,
woman.
work in any grocery store as a girl, it doesn't matter how young you are, some 80-year-old dude will come up and be creepy.
Yep.
Like, you'll have to protect cashiers
Karen
for
and
like
I
16.
can tell you stories from when we worked at Trader Joe's together.
Ew.
I
Yeah.
used to hide from
creepy.
customers in the back. It was
Sometimes
wild.
we do have to hide, like, back when I worked at grocery stores, customer service, we had to, like, hide a girl, like, literally, like, a 16-year-old cashier because some dude was being really creepy and stalking. We had to call, like, the police. But I was just, like, literally just get out of the grocery store. Don't even interact with humans if you're going to be like that.
Go in and buy your shit.
Why are you
and get
flirting
out,
with
people
people at their place of work? Don't do it. That's my rant. Sorry.
Side note, I had a guy about the age of my dad try to ask for my number. I told him no. And then he goes, but can I talk to you? And I like didn't know how to explain to
you're
him,
like,
like, you
no.
are the age of my father. Please leave me alone.
Oh, I just straight up tell him to.
So-
One dude told me he flirted with me in front of his like wife too, who was like literally 2 feet away. And
Oh
I was
my
like,
god.
Side note, I may have ranted about this on one of our early episodes.
The show got dark. I'm just putting
It's about to get
It's
darker.
reality.
dark, man.
ShopRite and Yardley. I'm walking with the groceries with Cecily with me. Guy has to stop and say, "Oh, hey, I see you're into younger women."
Oh my
Dude,
are you fucking
right?
kidding me?
I hate when
How did you not kill this man in the grocery
his
store?
wife was there in the car, and I looked. Oh, this is walking to my car, and I said to him, "I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Why would you say something like this? Oh, it was just a joke." I'm like, that's not. I said to him,
it's
that's
not.
not a
Yeah.
joke. That's not funny. That's disgusting.
It is.
Yeah.
Like, I said, what's wrong with you? And his wife was like, I am so sorry. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's your problem.
I hope
like,
she gave him a
Exactly.
talking
Yeah.
to afterwards.
but why
No,
are
or, like,
men
probably not.
fucking creeps? Like, you literally just implied that I'm like having sexual relations with my 3-year-old at that point.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
Fucking, or just the fact that they
disgusting.
even think that would be even a remotely
like
funny joke. to
joke
tell.
or
Right.
not, like
Yeah.
it's never funny. It's disgusting. So, yeah, creepy Jafar. Segue.
So yeah, don't be a creep. And if you have something weird to say like that, just don't fucking say it.
Yeah.
Keep it
Honestly.
locked away
Keep it
in
in
your
your
brain.
fucked up. Like take
Yeah.
that, or just like get the.
There are
get the
things
head
called
key.
intrusive thoughts that you're just supposed to avoid or push away.
I'm gonna say I'm really sorry I segued us into this because when Kabria was like, I didn't like Jafar being old. Like,
Matt, you don't get this very often, but
Shame.
I know, right?
Shame.
So yeah, live action remakes can sometimes be as dark and disappointing as those people in our own lives.
That's life.
Yeah.
exactly. Let's go from talking about shitty live action remake films to some of the absolute greats in motion capture. And obviously the first person that we have to talk about here, it's not a shock to anyone, Andy Serkis. He brought mocap into the limelight with his portrayal as Gollum Schmeagol in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and then the Hobbit trilogy, which should have been one movie.
I would have said two.
Maybe
Would've been
two. Maybe
two probably
two.
would have done it.
He's done so much more beyond that too. You know, he plays Caesar in the Planet of the Apes, the new trilogy. I mean, this guy is just an absolute
Treasure.
Yeah.
100. Listen, I have so much love. Like, I have it in caps in my notes. Love Andy Serkis. The first time Brittany and I hung out, we went to go see Sonic in theaters. And I think it was on our way back. Like, I was just screaming about Andy Serkis because I love him so much. Him as Caesar in the new Planet of the Apes movies.
Oh, he was
new,
awesome.
quote unquote, new. Amazing. Like, they are on my list of favorite movies of all time.
He's what makes those movies really good.
Absolutely.
It's still one of the. I never saw any of them in theaters, but I own them all and have watched them, and they're fantastic movies. It's a fantastic trilogy if you've never seen it. But the part in the first movie when he grabs the baton, he stands up, and
my
the
God.
music builds, and he just goes no, like. Because somebody who had saw it in theater said like their entire theater went dead silent. Somebody just went, "Holy shit!" like out
I
loud.
just
Like
got
that's how
chills right
good
now
it
from
was. Like that's how an amazing moment it was, and like that's Andy Serkis did all that. Like it was incredible.
They even modeled his face.
Yeah.
Like it looks, Caesar looks like Andy Serkis.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what they call that instead of mocap?
Oh boy.
PCAP. Performance capture.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah,
yay.
you're actually.
It was getting
We were so ready.
Oh, it's because I made my pun face. No, that was my exciting fun fact face.
I thought she was gonna say like monkey cap or something like that, or
You couldn't see my fingers, but they were literally on the soundbite
poised.
trigger. It was so ready, and she actually hit us with some truth bomb knowledge there.
I hit you with some truth.
Question: does PCAP stand for person cap?
No, performance capture. So it's more of I guess it's more of a recent term. But since things like video games and films have evolved to adapt to add more than just the the mocap suits you see, there's now a whole a whole field, let's say, that much like when we discussed creature performers, actors like that. You have not just people that are covered in mocap suits that move around, so you capture the movement, like stunt people. We usually do fight scenes and things like that when you have to do CG on top. But now you have actors who give their whole performances, and then if you use like their likeness in it as well as their voice. So with Andy Serkis, it's pretty much you're doing performance capture with him. Sometimes on a stage, when it's usually more so when you're in like a staged area, but sometimes they film on location there. So if you're capturing the entire essence of what the actor is portraying, like their emotions, their likeness, their voice, everything into that, that's known as performance capture. Mocap would be more so if you only hired Andy Serkis to just jump over things and
Right.
captured his movements and like put it in a video game. So it's cool. There's like they overlap a lot, but there's distinctions in some ways.
Andy Serkis did do a video game.
He has done many.
Yeah, I know, but I love.
So
Odyssey.
Lord of the Rings was really also like the first performance capture too, not just
Technically, yeah.
mocap.
Before,
'Cause,
like, the term was
he was
made.
straight up Gollum Schmeagol.
He splashed around that river,
Yeah.
boy. Oh,
Yep.
To this day, how they did the VFX, there's only one small moment where like it splashes the wrong way, but you have to break that down frame by frame. Just claps to it. Weta.
Those movies, for the most part, I watched them through recently, like on a nice TV. They still hold up really well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like obviously some moments like, listen, CG ages,
Yeah.
duh, but dude, they're so good. I still haven't seen the final two new Planet of the Apes films. I have to.
If you want to borrow them, I got.
Remember the last time I borrowed a movie from you?
Yeah, I know. So okay, maybe not. But
Yeah.
I will say this, in my opinion, the movies get better. Like, first one's good, second one's really good, third one is like fantastic.
Yeah, I have to do that. Let's talk about some of the other big names out there. I want to talk about Lupita Nyong'o because I absolutely loved her, and then they just ruined her in the last two films for the Star Wars trilogy. I loved Maz in Force Awakens.
Underutilized.
Yes, okay, not ruined. Underutilized is more proper, but she's so good as Maz
so good.
in Force Awakens, and I wanted to love that character so much, and then she just kind of disappears.
She just like flirts with Chewie, right, or something, or Han.
Where's
One of
that
them.
Wookiee?
Yeah. She flirts with Chewie, and that's like it. And I'm just like, I did love her though. I remember she was one of my favorite characters from Force Awakens when I saw it because I wasn't expecting her.
Yeah. I think she actually calls Chewie her boyfriend. He's like,
Yeah,
where's
like,
my
where's
boyfriend?
my boyfriend?
Yep. Oh, love it. Let's also talk about Kabria. You mentioned in the chat Zoe Saldana.
Yes, my girl. She's I personally think of her as like the queen of sci-fi.
She is.
Yes.
Like,
Just don't throw that out there.
yeah, she's amazing. And she's from Jersey. Jersey represent.
Boom.
I did drive over the bridge to get here, so whoop whoop.
Pay that $2 toll.
I did, but I remembered my Easy Pass this time, so won't get billed for that.
So she had an easy voyage. I'm just saying, when you don't have your easy pass, things get a little rough. So
That just like stopped me in my tracks. But yeah, she plays Neytiri in Avatar, the blue one, the good one.
I love her as Natiri.
And
Loved her.
I think that would that be considered PCAP then? Because they had like a boom with a camera in front of
Yeah.
her face. So
That's
like,
Pete Cab.
That was
Yeah.
like completely performance capture.
and it was like she was amazing. First of all, the movie itself, like the method they're using is amazing, but her herself as Neytiri is phenomenal. You can tell she just gives such an honest performance. She has a background in ballet, and you can absolutely tell in the way that Neytiri moves, and like watching her behind the scenes is almost like eerie. When I watch her, like, you know, I get a little bit of goosebumps because it's so real. It like you can just tell it's so real.
I love watching the making of and behind the scenes because talking about it being so real. I think like, you know, if they show a preview for these things, like one of the things that they show is her in the PCAP suit side by side with the final version, and there's like that one moment like she's doing like a war cry, and
Yeah.
it's literally her. You know, like
Yeah. All they did was color on top of her.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy how good that was. And that, listen, people shit on Avatar a little bit because like, oh, it's not actually. Yeah, I know.
I should have wore my Avatar shirt today because I actually
Like,
have one.
It's listen. Is it
Is it Dances with Wolves in Space?
or
Yes.
Fern Gully?
Is it a live action remake technically?
of
You
Fern
could
Gully?
argue Fern Gully, Pocahontas, and like Dances with Wolves.
Yeah,
all
a
combined.
little bit. And is it a little generic as far as the plot? Yeah,
Unobtainium.
but it's still a beautiful film. And listen, getting a little bit away from mocap for a second, can we talk about James Horner's score for that movie?
We can always talk about it.
Because it is so good. I own 2 copies of it. I think it's fantastic.
100%.
And I think she's brilliant in it.
Yeah.
All the actors who did mocap in that movie were fantastic. So
Yeah.
you have, it looks like you're ready with a name.
Oh no, I got a list.
Hit it.
I put together a list. So I actually bounced between movies and video games. Actually,
Yes.
Cool.
First, I started doing only movies. I'm like, wait a minute, I play so many games.
Yeah.
So although I will start with a movie though, is I give him a ton of credit, but Josh Brolin's Thanos.
Oh, yeah.
He
Like,
deserves it.
Like his performance, like every time there was a close up of Thanos' face when he was doing emotional stuff, I was like, this is really good. And it's Josh Brolin like acting like Because I remember watching the making of, all they did was they put like a stick on his head where the face would be so the actors could actually look up at him. But everything else, like that's all him, like the scan and everything, and they just basically built Thanos out of it. And I give him a ton of credit for that role as in Infinity War. Endgame I wasn't as impressed with just because I didn't think he was as interesting. But Infinity War, just his emotions and his actions and everything, just how everything looks, I mean, it was a great performance.
I will go as far as to say, even though it was 2 movies, is that he has done the best motion capture performance since Andy Serkis in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
In film.
In film. I will keep it to in film.
I have to protect my voice actors. I love.
I will say exactly what Matt said. That is the first time that I've really felt like that could just be a guy in makeup.
Yeah.
Like that is Josh Brolin through and through. Like, listen, I think these movies should get nominated for awards a little bit more. I think he should have been nominated for a fucking Oscar for Infinity War. So freaking good. All of his delivery, all of his lines, even in Endgame. I love that when Scarlet Witch is like, you took everything from me. He's like, I don't even know who you are. And I love that. And he's just so freaking fantastic.
We have so many wonderful memes because of that man.
We do.
But yeah, I want to agree that 100% there needs to be categories in, like, doesn't even have to be just the Oscars, but any film-related awards, and even extending to video games, anywhere you use motion capture, performance capture, or stunt work, like, there needs to be these areas for awards, because you will not have films without, like, if you're going to pay attention to the music and, you know, the design and all these other, like, costuming, makeup, things like that, you need to give credit where credit is due to stunt performers, who literally are the reason you can pull off anything cool in any movie ever. You have to, like, give praise to mocap and PCAP actors, because CG has become so prevalent, and we're able to do things with technology now that people just couldn't even fathom, like when these awards were created originally. So you have these incredible performances, and even you have, like, Rocket Raccoon literally will have a stand-in mocap, like his brother.
It's Sean Gunn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He'll sit in and do, like, literally the movements for it, so he's technically the mocap actor for it. But then you have the performance, which is given by Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
So you could argue, even when we discussed, I'm forgetting his name. Why am I forgetting his name?
What movie?
Abe Sapien.
Oh, Andy Serkis.
No,
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones,
sorry.
Even when we discussed Doug Jones, it was the same thing. Like, there were some movies where he was allowed to give the whole performance as the character. Other times they voiced him over and used somebody else's performance. Like, you could argue that he was still technically the performer in those, but, like, awards need to be given.
So that that ended up being a crazy organic segue we did, because I wasn't going to move on quite yet, but it worked out perfectly. I think we all would agree that there should be some kind of motion capture, Emmy, Golden Globe, Oscar. At the same time, should we maybe just not do that and just straight up consider them
up for like,
best supporting actor, best supporting actress, best actor, best actress?
Yeah, it should, I think, just be up there with the actual award, because it is acting.
Yeah, you can't say that they're not. You know, without them doing their performance, there's no movie.
Because, you know, when Avatar comes out and they're going to put up Zoe Saldana for an award, it better be up there for best actress. I don't want to see her. She's not going to be a supporting character, damn it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see her as, like, oh, by the way, we'll throw her a bone and give her, like, a mocap. Like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they already do it for video games. They have these huge awards. They have BAFTAs. And the actors that get the awards for best actress or best actor or best performance in a video game, like, it's not just like, oh, you did mocap well.
Right.
Like, they're legit.
Yeah. Going back to Avatar real quick. James Cameron keeps just, creating the technology on the fly for these sequels. One thing that I loved seeing in the behind the scenes picture is that, dude, what they're doing with water animation now. Did you see they're floating in a ball? I mean, in a pool of motion capture balls, which is then all those motion capture balls are going to be turned into water, but they're going to move like water because they're actually swimming in basically
and they're recording in water.
A professional kiddie ball pit.
Yeah.
I love that.
And he trained them all to, they can hold their breath for a really long time. They had to perform a lot underwater already. So they're going to combine real water with fake water and give crazy performances underwater, which we've never seen.
I'm ridiculously excited about that.
I think Cecily might be in college when that movie comes out.
I think the next one is set to come out in 2021.
2021 or
That's
2022.
what they all
keep
claimed.
delaying it.
Yeah, it's been delayed years and years now.
You won't know what I want my 2020 vision to be. Avatar and more awards for performance capture.
At this rate, like we're not going to get 10 until 2021. It keeps getting pushed back and back and back. We have a little bit more time, so let's just keep going with some names that we may have missed on some of the great motion capture or performance capture artists there are.
Laura Bailey. Ashley Johnson.
Can we just go
Everybody
through the-
amazing who's ever probably been in The Last of Us or any other video game that's come out in the last, I'd say, 5 to 10 years. So, every performance you see in video games now, for the most part, as long as they're big, like, AAA games, are not only the voice acting, but on top of it, performance capture or motion capture. So, you can't really separate the two in video games anymore.
I will give a shout out to I really, even though the second and third movies were kind of to me, but I loved Bill Nighy as Davy Jones in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Did you
Because
say? Did you say Bill Nye?
Bill
Nighy.
Nighy.
Oh my god! I thought you meant
No,
Bill
he's-
Nye.
The British
Because if you
one,
ever,
not the scientist.
because I remember seeing like the behind the scenes thing where he and the other like people that were his crew all had the suits on, and it's funny to watch him like do the movements that Davy Jones would do, and he'd be like, he delivered lines and he would do little
Yeah.
like pop his lips and
Oh,
everything.
And
yeah.
Like
make
he
his
actually did
teeth
all
up,
that. Yeah, like I loved Bill Nighy as Davy Jones.
I love it.
We kind of already talked about the new Miles Morales PS4 game coming out, but I want to give a shout out to the entire cast
Of Spider-Man?
Spider-Man PS4 because that game felt like you were playing a movie, and I legit cried.
Yuri Lowenthal, Laura Bailey.
Yep.
So many people are on that game.
John I'm gonna maybe butcher his name. I'm sorry. Bumniak, who actually plays Peter. Go ahead. You had someone too.
Oh no, I was just praising Laura Bailey and your.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, Laura Bailey is one of my favorite people in the entire world. Like,
Oh my
that's my
God,
voice
she's
acting
so
goals.
great. Yeah,
She's incredible.
amazing.
But yeah, that game. Spoiler alert here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When Aunt May is like, you have to give the cure to the people and not me, and dude, and she
It's messed up.
I didn't that didn't hit me as hard because I'm like, this is an entire city versus your 70-year-old aunt. This is an easy decision.
It doesn't
It's
change
so
the fact
good
that
for her
Peter's
character,
yeah,
though.
Yes.
and
Yes.
doesn't
The
she
whole
like
time.
Peter has lost so many people,
she
and
helps
here,
all those people.
that moment is just, and even that the whole game and Peter's relationship with Doc Ock, and as it just continues to just deteriorate. Oh my God, yeah.
Can I mention one more thing? So in regards to like mocap and PCAP that's used for video games, there's also a huge learning curve when it comes. Like, you can have incredible actors that then are transmitted to that stage, and it goes back to like their roots of if they have good improv skills or they can do stage acting, because they're in a blank room sometimes with very little like structures that even seem like furniture. They have to deal with a huge camera in their face depending on what they're recording, or sometimes it's more freeing with the mic and just like the thinner suit. But sometimes they have that whole rig on their face and the dots on and everything, and they have to, sometimes it takes them like a while to warm up so that you're not looking at the camera anymore and you're able to look past it. And just seeing like the amount of work and effort that goes into acting, but with all these added things that get in the way, like, people don't realize how much goes into making video games, even just that you want to play and maybe you put 30 hours, 60 hours of your life into. Like, it's incredible. People work on these things for years and sometimes put in more hours than an actor would in a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I like how you mentioned like acting with like an empty room with like nothing. Going back to Andy Serkis, who directed one of the few like praised quote unquote live action Disney films, Mowgli, which is the remake of The Jungle Book. He directed that, which is why it's so good. But the only actual like actor that you see that isn't like altered in any way is Mowgli. Everything else is like hand puppets and people in mocap suits and doing things and interacting with him, but he had not much to interact off of. And I think that is that's a lot of talent that the actor had to have, and then a lot of talent that the director, Andy Serkis, had to have to help him act accordingly, essentially.
Did Andy Serkis direct Jungle Book? I thought
Yes.
Favreau did.
No, Andy Serkis did.
Everything's connected to Andy Serkis.
I guess
Basically,
it is.
this is the
Yeah.
circus, and Andy's in charge.
He's the ringmaster.
There it is.
He's the
He has
ringmaster.
the
see?
ring.
He does.
Did I just make a pun?
You did. Would you like a? I have to, right?
I don't know if that's a shame or like
it
or
was
like
a
an
good
applause.
one. It was kind of
It
a
was
good one.
good,
So
do it.
I'll give you the
Oh, thanks.
boom. So the one last thing I want to say is what kind of YouTube have been, all of us have been saying is they should just getting back to the awards. Some of our favorite actors in our favorite movies are doing a lot, if not all of their acting these days, especially in these big superhero films, in mocap suits. Like, listen, I think in the first Iron Man, maybe the second, like some of that, most of it was in an actual Iron Man suit. The rest of the movies, Tony's stuff was all CG, the armor and everything.
I'd argue that, like, literally Endgame, most of the time they were just painting people's heads back onto entirely CG things.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It
The,
barely live action.
Yeah. So it's something to think about. Motion capture and performance capture, I think, is very much just going to become more and more the future. The way that shows are being shot. I mean, look at, not that this is mocap or performance cap, but look at how they filmed The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah.
You think all of that, those locations are on location?
Or exist.
No, they are giant panoramas. And just technology is crazy, man.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy what's going on with technology. So
You know that Mudhorn wasn't real.
no.
I was like, props to that, I guess, what would they even have? A warthog in a keycap suit?
Yeah, they'd get Pumbaa.
Yeah, right. No.
When I
Yeah,
was a young warthog. And I think we will end it on that note. Kabria, I want to thank you for coming back on the show and coming up with this awesome episode we did today. This was all you.
Thank you so much for having me, and let me talk your ear off.
Yeah, we would like to have you back soon. So, that is going to do it for episode 67. We didn't do this in the announcements at the beginning of the show, but episode 68 is the big one. Next week is the Hamilton episode.
Oh, okay.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Because
It's
we're not
gonna-
throwing away our shot.
Nope.
We're not throwing away.
We are going to be reviewing the live performance with Lin-Manuel Miranda, the original cast. We are going to be having the mother of Dragon, Karen Brown, on the show. I believe Eric from Geeks with Kids is also going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking with Karen about the two shows that we saw in person of the performance in both Chicago and Philly. It is going to be a lot of fun. We'll probably have some of the music on the show.
What comes next?
Yes, indeed.
It's going to be a Hamilton of fun.
It is going to be a Hamilton of fun. I
Pay your
can't
fucking
wait.
taxes.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that one. So let's finish this one up. For Brittany, for Matt, I'm Julian, and Kabria too. I'm Julian. Have a good night.
You can find Everything is Permitted on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Everything is Permitted is produced by Rob Bigliaccio, Nikki Veazey, and Geneva Stein-Shivers. Our executive producers are Michael Cox, Brittany Tomes and the Tomes family, and Julian Brown.